In today's video about Zuora, let us take a look at the Zuora Billing's business object model. So this particular diagram is from the official documentation. You can find it online. You will be able to search Zuora business object model, and then you will be able to find it. So So in this particular diagram, we will be able to see the complete data model. Um, it is also called Zora's business object model. If you want to learn any billing system or any application, first try to understand its data model. It is also called object model, or in this case, we call it as business object model. All are same. So if you see here on the left hand side, this representation is one-to-one relationship. There is 0 to 1 relationship as well, where you have a 0 and then plus symbol, and there is one-to-many relationship as well. So these three are the possible relationships you need to see in the diagram whenever there is this kind of representation, that is one to many. For example, see, look at here, product catalog, product to product rate plan. It is one to many. That means one product can have as many rate plans as needed. So that is how we need to understand this entire diagram based on these depictions. So in this picture, most of the objects are, I mean, almost all the objects are available, which is defined for Zuora billing. We need to understand the flow. We need to understand the color coding. Here, some are given as green color, gray color, blue color, and so on. So that means those are related objects. So and for each object, there will be a life cycle. So once we understand the data model, the relationships, and the life cycle, then it is pretty easy. You can do any kind of activity or work, because you will know in the background from where to where, or from which object to which object the data is flowing when you are doing a particular activity in the UI or through the API. So that's why it is so critical, so important to understand the data model or the business object model first. So let's take a look. We yesterday in the first video we spoke about the product catalog. So product catalog is to define the pricing, whether it is Netflix or Amazon as an example, or it can be any other subscription-based business. We need to define their pricing in Zuora under product catalog. So product is the main object. Product can have many rate plans, and each rate plan can have many rate plan charges. And within the rate plan charge, there could be tiers as well. So within the rate plan charge, there will be chart of accounts, as you can see here. And rate plan charges will also be associated with the revenue recognition rules. So uh, this entire gray color box is for the finance. That is the color coding that we need to understand. And these are specifically for Zuora billing, not Zuora revenue, because it is mentioned here as well. So let's take a look on the other object models here. So for example, account. So account is here, and account can have a contact. Account can have a communication profile. I mean, account will have a communication profile, and then account will have orders. When we create an order, there will be a subscription that will be created through that order. So either subscription will be created, or it will be modified or updated or cancelled, whatever. So account will have a life cycle. For example, account can be active or inactive or closed, something like that. Similarly, order will have cancellation order. There will be life cycle. We will be discussing about the life cycle of each object in later videos, but this particular is specifically to understand the entire concept. So once we have the product catalog defined, which is here, which is in the green color here, once we have the products, rate plans, charges, before that we need to have the chart of accounts, revenue recognition rules defined under finance. Once we have those, we will be able to create the product catalog, and you see then we will be able to create the accounts. For each account, we will add the contacts. Before creating account, if we need more communication profiles based on the requirements. Communication profile is to share the notifications, notify the customers. So we will discuss about that. And then for each account, we can create an order, and an order will create a subscription. Each order will have an order action, and there will be a snapshot of the product rate plan that will be associated with the subscription of the customer. So, for example, product rate plan may have a different charge, and customer might have a different charge associated with them. So each order will have order line items. For example, one order can have more number of order line items. Each one will have its own action, and so on. So that is what we need to understand from this flow. So we will have accounts and then subscriptions created through the orders. So current version of Zuora is called orders platform. The previous versions of Zuora are amendments platforms. So currently what you are learning is the orders platform. So that's what you need to know. And as you can see, let's say once we have an account, we have a subscription. Uh, the subscription will be associated with the charges. Then what happens? Then there will be a bill run. As you can see here, there is a bill run. Bill run will generate invoice or invoices, right? And then invoices will have taxes. Each invoice might have one or more invoice items, and then those will have taxes, right? And once we have the invoice ready, then what happens? Payments, payment run, payments will be applied. Payment parts will be there for each payment, and then those parts will be applied to the invoice items, right? So payment part is going to the debit memo as well as it's going to the invoice. So as you can see here, payments will be applied to the invoice. And then there can be a chance that the customer may dispute the invoice. Then there will be a credit memo. Credit memo is like applying credits to the customer for a particular invoice item. So that is the credit memo, and there could be debit memo in case if the charges are wrong, and there could be additional charges that might be applied to the invoice. That is the debit memo, and both credit and debit memos might be associated with the taxation as well, because when we credit a certain invoice item, if that invoice item is associated with some tax, then those will be credited as well. So similarly, when the payments are not, or I mean like when there are additional payments, or when there are payments that are done wrongly, then there will be refunds. If the customer asks for a refund, there could be scenarios of refund. The customer is not satisfied with the service, and there could so many other scenarios. So business will decide in which scenario to that there should be a refund. So that's the refund part that we need to understand, and then as you can see here, this is the finance part, which is under the gray area. So the revenue schedule. So revenue schedule creates the revenue accounting modules, revenue related information like journal report. It is called the ledger report, or we can call it as journal report. So there will be a journal run. and then it will create the journal entries. These journal entries are specifically for the accounting. In this case, Zuora has Zuora RevPro. So this information can be fed to Zuora RevPro, and then RevPro will do the accounting portion. Um, so that is the purpose of the uh, journal run. So this is the end-to-end data flow. Uh, when we create an account, or when we create a subscription for an account, this is what happens from one end to the other. So we know what is the next step once we have an invoice. So there could be a payment. So we will know once this cycle is complete, there could be journal entries that we need to run. So these are all the things that we need to keep in mind to understand at which stage what will happen. Uh, so for for each of these actions, like for example, creating a product catalog or creating an account or creating a order to create a subscription or to run the bill runs or payment runs or uh, generating invoices, journal entries. For everything, uh, there is a APIs available. So this is the most critical to understand that you know every action can be performed through an API as well. It is not mandatory to do it only through the UI or the user interface. So you can also do it through an API. Uh, for example, authentication OAuth is available, and then creating a product. So creating, let's go to accounts. Let's say we want to create an account. Then click on account, click on create an account, and then here you can see on the right hand side that there is a payload. It is the post method. This is the REST API that we can use to create the account. And for each parameter, each body field, the explanation is given, and what kind of data field that is. If it is a additional array, then what are the other fields that need to be passed. So all these information is available here, and so each and every action or each and every data flow that we discussed earlier can be achieved through the APIs, if not the UI. So let's say a business wants to use their own UI and just integrate it uh, with Zuora. Then they just need to integrate with these REST APIs. Let's say if it is Salesforce, then there is something called 360 for the Salesforce. So 360 will also do the same thing, like use the APIs and then flow. Uh, the data flow will happen through the 360 from Zuora to Salesforce and from Salesforce to Zuora. So, um, so if you want to like see what are all the APIs available, click on API reference, and then you can click on download. So if you download it, you can get a file which can be imported to Postman. So you can install Postman or open Postman through the browser, and then import this file which gets downloaded by using this download button, and then you will have all these REST APIs in your Postman. So you can test all the REST APIs. You can use it to integrate with other systems. You can also create flows within the Postman, and the possibilities are endless. It depends on the requirement. You will be able to achieve that particular requirement by calling the API. So everything is through the APIs. It's possible. It's also called the Open API specification. And yeah, you can see there is different versions of APIs available. And the the most important thing is the authentication that you need to take care when you are trying to send request to to Zuora. You need to create a user for specifically for APIs, and then use that particular user's credentials to make API calls, so that if the role is API user, then the password will not be expired, and then you will be able to do that integration as expected. Similarly, you can see the everything. I mean, for each and every object that we discussed earlier within the Zora's business object model, the API is available here. So that's the most important thing that we need to understand. Additionally, there is a system health available within Zora. So system health is pretty useful, and it's a it's a wonderful tool to monitor the health of the system. It will show how many API calls are made, how many are successful, how many are failures. If some failures are there, what are the reasons? And there are so many other things which we will be discussing in the later upcoming videos. So for now, just try to focus on the Zora's business object model. Try to understand the data flow from one end to the other, as well as try to see how the APIs are divided to create the either the pricing or the accounts or the contacts, communications, and so many other things are there. So it's also possible to create a particular event, and then when some event happens, we can call a certain flow to happen. So that is also possible within Zora. So it's like a event-driven system. Uh, so for each and every event, there will be, we can configure certain activity to happen. So we will look into all those in the upcoming sessions. Thanks for watching.